Alright, welcome to another episode of World by Night Vamp Edition. This is the side session with Magnus. For those who have been paying attention, following along with the rest of the videos, this is something new I'm trying. It gives each character a chance to kind of put themselves out there and give them a chance to do a little more than what can be done during a session. So, tonight we have Magnus. And he's going to continue from the point where we left off during the actual session, where they all kind of got done and was like, okay, time to go home. So, Magnus, as you get back to your domain, not much has really happened. It's actually been kind of quiet, mainly because, well, they are scared to death of you. Your servants, and if you have any goals, your ghouls all, keep the house running in a relatively decent order. The Tremere really have had not much say. The one thing they are a little worried about is they're hearing the rumors that everybody else is, and that they think that Dante may not be who he says he is. And if that's the case, then there's a big problem with NDC.
Okay. If he's not who he says he is, who is it that he's suspected to actually be?
No one's real sure. The Tremere are not sure who it is, so they don't want to try any of their usual methods of finding that out and give away any possible thing that they have. So they're trying to do alternate means, like actually trying to locate the real Dante if this guy is fake. So they have their feelers out. Some of their slave gargoyles who actually like being their slaves are doing their walking through stone, listening to stone kind of thing, and trying to find out information. Meantime, they are trying to talk to other clans, but they're having a hard time because they're not sure what clans to trust. They don't know how deep this isn't Dante, they don't know how deep the corruption goes, so to speak.
Okay.
They had no problems with Cash because he was straight up about it, and he gave the Tremere a huge bit of leeway to basically, he did more than most of the Kindred did, and basically just gave them their free little reign to do things within limits, but they had a little more power because Cash liked the Tremere.
I see. Now, whatever happened to Cash? I hadn't actually gotten much information about that.
Okay. Well, what originally happened was, and this is where Daniel comes into play, as was briefly mentioned, the gods for Earth is more than just God and Satan. Flora is the creator of Earth, so she is the ultimate, basically the queen of Earth. I took a little D&D reference with this, so you may catch up on it. There are several gods. Most people don't know about them because they don't think about it. They hear, oh, God and Satan, and that's really about it. No one ever hears about Flora or stuff like this. And that's the way most of the gods kind of prefer it. They have their own followers. Nobody bothers them. Works for them.
Okay.
Flora at one point in time decided that it's probably better if she removes some of the more powerful members throughout the entire World of Darkness. Not kills them all. Gives them a choice, basically. For the vampires, it's torpor or take a trip on the shuttle. And for all the others, well, they didn't really have a choice. It was put them into a special state of suspended sleep, or they can take a trip. Daniel, unfortunately, is the eyes and ears of Flora. He has to do what she orders. She ordered it done. He gave everybody the option. Some chose torpor, others chose to take a hike. Cash was one of those that chose to go out and venture for a little bit just to see what's out there. And so did many of the others. Some of the more prominent and more respected figures are the ones who actually, they didn't really want to go, but the way Daniel worded it, they didn't have a choice. It was either torpor, where they can't really control anything anyways, or space travel, where they may at least be able to stay in contact, assuming ships get within certain ranges.
Okay.
So that's what happened to Cash. Nobody likes it. Everybody, the one thing you do get from everybody is the fact that Cash was well respected within a majority of the kindred, even though he was the one who declared the gangrel independent. He didn't treat anybody differently. Everybody was still the same. He gave some respect to the independents and gave them a little bit of land, but it still remained mainly Camarilla, in a sense, controlled.
Okay.
So they never had an issue with it. Dante seems to be trying to push a wedge in between everything. Like he's trying to mess everything up. They're not real sure if was accidental because of all the things going on, but they definitely think this coup is, in a sense, a good idea, but in a sense, a bad idea because you still got, if it does happen, well, then you have Infernalists who now have control of the city. That definitely can't happen. That's the one thing the Tremere actually agree with, is that ain't going to happen.
Mm-hmm. I would report to them the fact that we did destroy that set of Infernalists.
They inform you that there are more out there.
Yes.
Yeah, they knew this rebellion was a lot bigger than just like 9 or 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
They are aware that the demon is running around, but they are aware that the demon is currently preoccupied. Because they're getting reports of in another area. They're getting reports in another area of the demons, at least being visually seen. So they're not real worried about him right now. Good, let him stay over there, do whatever the hell he's doing. They think there's something up. They're not sure. They're trying to go through any and every person they believe they can trust, which, it's Tremere. It's hard to find people who will trust them first.
True. Understandable.
But then again, a lot of clans know that if the Tremere are reaching out trying to find information, something's got to be going on.
Mm-hmm.
The Tremere may be suspicious, but they're not that super suspicious enough to ask other clans for information. So it's kind of got the gossip mill a-buzzing about what really is going on. Why are the Tremere suddenly so interested in what's going on when nothing has really affected them? The Tremere haven't lost any territory that they're aware of yet, and no one's real sure, but with the way Dante is going, the Tremere do worry that maybe their territory will be diminished. Because just merely crunching the numbers and figuring out the territory, if these Infernalists did manage to take control, where does that leave a lot of clans, and where does, and the Tremere more specifically, because they always worry about themselves, worry about where that leaves them. Infernalist, well, then what do you need a Tremere for?
Well, that's an understandable thing to think about. So now,
it's like a paranoia,
the demon currently being preoccupied, Daniel being what he is, and Dante being the puppet of everything that's going on right now. I think the first thing that Magnus would do is when he does arrive at his haven, his protected area, he would probably call to Daniel and see whether or not Daniel would respond.
Where's Magnus currently at when he calls to him? Is he sitting in his study? Is he walking around around his house?
He'd probably be sitting down at his office desk that he has in the library.
Okay. In the chair right across from him, you see somebody with their feet up on the desk. You go, it is Daniel, by the way.
Okay. Good, Daniel. I'm glad that being able to call you like that actually works. I wasn't sure how far the range would have been for you, but seeing as how you work for...
He's looking at you like...
Yeah. Seeing as how you... World. Exactly my point. Seeing as how you work for the whole world, basically, I figured that wouldn't be an issue.
Well, let me hand you a card. That has my number on it. I know it's weird. I have a cell phone, but as you found out, you can call me quickly that way. But I'd rather prefer at least a phone call, at least a courtesy call, kind of thing.
All right.
But since you're regained into this area, I'll give you a little leeway. What's up?
Well, thank you. Well, I just wanted to get a little bit of clarification on the different things that are going on and the players that are currently in it. I know that you're working right now with Dante on a lot of the different things that are going on. You've also been...
Who told you that?
It's pretty obvious. The other thing...
Not too much.
Yeah, the other thing I saw was you were talking to the Infernalists.
Those assholes. Yeah, I was trying to tell them to stop.
Right.
They were pushing their boundaries, crossing lines they shouldn't be. Things are not going to go well for them. They didn't listen to me. Look how that worked.
Hmm. And then Agent Giles.
The dickhead, but he has his purposes. That's the only reason why he's even.
I figured as much. Having a kindred that's actually inside the FBI can always be a handy thing.
Are you kidding? There's like 15 kindred in the FBI alone. There's more in some of the other branches, but yeah, you figure that one out. You know where they go.
I understand. What are your thoughts about what Dante is doing right now? Orchestrating these plans.
Okay, I will let you know one thing. I am only allowed to answer certain questions because other ones, Flora does. She lets pretty much most of the people do what they need to do on the planet without having too much knowledge of what's really going on.
Okay.
Me being one of the exceptions because I was really good at my job before I became the eyes and ears for her. I don't work with Dante per se. Technically, what he does is his own thing. I was talking to the Infernalists because they were crossing lines amongst many other deities, and it was not a good sign because it was going to turn into a very large problem for everybody.
Okay.
I try and keep a maintained peace, especially when it comes to creatures that don't need to be known suddenly being found out too quickly because they come up in arms. So, long story short, that's all I was trying to do is try and keep the peace, keep them down, stop doing dumb shit.
I see.
Dante is just a powerful figure, so yes, I can talk to him. Has he listened to what I've said? Honestly, a majority of the time, no. He does what he wants, but he's allowed to. Just like if you do what you want, even if I give you all the advice in the world, you do what you want, it's your thing. If you see me too many times, it means you're crossing too many lines. But most of the time, we leave it to everybody else to deal with. How do I feel about it? Honestly, there's a lot going on that's going to get Dante caught.
Yes. Well,
he's trying to do too much at one time. He's not thinking about it, and that time frame thing that they just threw up there a couple days ago was really stupid.
Well, to be honest, he's already been caught because he's been found out that he's working this way.
Yeah. Fortunately for him, you're the only one who actually knows that information. Well, you and Giles, but Giles won't say anything because he likes having his foot in the door for somebody. The unfortunate part is the other things he is doing behind everybody's back is going to cross a line here soon.
So it would probably be a wise idea for me to keep an eye on what Dante is doing as well.
Most definitely a good idea. Let's just say he's crossed one too many lines and is finally putting his foot in his own grave. I'm leaving it at that.
I see. So, that being the case, he's pretty much ending himself with what he's doing.
Yes. And here's the fun part. Yeah, I'll let you know because okay, Dante is not who he says he is. I will tell you that.
That's
but that's already been found out by a few other people. It just hasn't become common knowledge yet because they don't have a way to prove it. I'm telling you for a fact that it's not Cash's child sitting on that throne.
Okay.
And in order to kind of keep the peace of the box right now is the only reason why I haven't said anything beforehand. But I have put in the works ways to make sure that information gets disseminated to the right people.
Okay.
Just because I can't give people the information directly doesn't mean I can't find ways around. There's always loopholes, even with the gods. Sneaky little bastards find their own ways, so can I.
I like you. You're straightforward and cryptic all at the same time.
Hey, it's a very fine line I have to walk. I gotta find ways around it whatever way I can. So, I do what I can.
Here's a question for you.
Here's
There was
Matt,
mention
maybe.
there was mention of one more nasty than you. Some speculated it was the demon, but I think it's something else.
Who said? Oh, you're talking about the Infernalist, thinking that there's someone more nastier than I am.
I believe actually it was part of my group that I was with this evening.
Well, see, they don't realize the kind of power I actually do wield. I mean, the fact that you can call me sitting here, and believe me, I was over in Africa at the time dealing with some drama over there. The fact that you can call me and I appear in an instant should give you a little clue as the kind of power I do. I am Flora's, who is the queen and creator of this planet. I am her eyes and ears. I am also her sword if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I have the power to literally walk up and go, boom, you're dead, and you're dead.
I had a
can erase
feeling.
people from existence. Do I do it? Not my thing, really. I don't like doing it if I don't have to. I like other people taking care of it.
So, at the moment, what you would like to see happen is for Dante to be discovered for what he truly is, or who he truly is.
That's better, yeah. Basically is how I want it to play out. Do I want it to make it so obvious that, obviously the source came from? No. That's why I'm doing everything through subtle means.
And that's also why I called you now that I'm here in my own safety of my own haven, instead of while we were out walking around.
And I do appreciate it because it's so much easier to talk when I know there's, not that it matters. I can go, hey, look, nobody can see nothing. I mean, admittingly, I can't prevent the gods and goddesses. Sorry. I yell at every time I don't say goddesses. They're so picky, there's free live, all kinds of stuff. But, yeah, I mean, it's not like I can't make sure nobody sees me. It's like when you were trying to watch me when I was talking with the Infernalist. You couldn't see me, but you could hear their part of the conversation. I could have allowed you to see me, but I thought it was a little more fun and keep you guessing for a little bit until you figured it out. Yes. Once they said my name, I was like, oh, well, fuck. I knew who you were with, so I knew they were going to tell you.
Yep.
Or at least give you a general idea they knew who it was.
Now, I had a premonition.
Okay.
And perhaps you can help me with this a little bit. It was Dante shaking hands with a man shrouded in darkness. A deal, a contract, or a plan. Mm-hmm. Do you think he's going to be trying to deal with that demon?
No. That I can truly say he's not going to do. I know who the man shrouded in darkness is, and honestly, the last thing you want is that deal to come through.
The last thing I want is that deal to come through.
Correct. If he makes that deal, and I know what premonition you're speaking of, because you and a couple other people have brought the exact same one to my attention. If that happens, let's just say this world is into a massive change they are not ready for.
So, the simplest solution to prevent that deal from ever going through is to end Dante.
Stick on his ass the entire time. And Dante would be a good idea, but you've got to have solid proof, or else you will have the gangrel hunting you. And this is where it becomes a problem, because they're still going to support the prince, even though, and I'll tell you now, his own clan is starting to question him.
Now, he's not who he says he is.
Correct.
Is he Gangrel? That's a good question for moving forward.
I can give you that answer, but I can't tell you who he really is. I will say, no, he is not Gangrel, but he is doing a damn good job at pretending to be one.
Perfect. You see, that's what I wanted to find out, because if we can prove that he is not Gangrel, that will get the Gangrel off of hunting whoever decides to end Dante.
Correct. That would actually get the Gangrel to support whoever wants to end Dante, because then they've been taking orders from someone who is not their respected elder's child.
Hmm. And to be able to change their face, if he doesn't have obfuscate, which I would have seen through if he did,
Mhm.
that means that he would have had to have somebody who has flesh crafting abilities to be able to change it.
Now we're getting there.
That being the case, there is, of course, Agent Giles, who could possibly do it,
Possibility.
or Dante himself possibly may have the ability.
That's a possibility too.
Mhm.
Well, as we already established, Dante is not his real name, but that's the only name he will answer to, unless I call him out on it, because he already knows I know who he is.
Mhm.
He's actually terrified I'm going to say something. I'm not.
Not directly, at least.
Oh no,
All right.
because I want the people he's been screwing over to find him. Because ironically, the Ventrue, the Toreador, and the others he has working in this rebellion, they didn't do so freely.
So he's forcing them.
He was at one point.
Interesting.
Yeah. When they signed the deal with the demon is how he no longer had to worry about enforcing that power.
Hmm. Because then they were Infernalists, and they got eliminated by myself and our group.
And before you guys found out, that's the only way they stayed the way they were, is because Dante at any time could have said, hey, I found out they're Infernalists. You can kill them now.
Hmm.
They knew that if they pushed things too far, he would easily say that and destroy them, and get them all destroyed, because then they'd all have a blood hunt on them.
So I
Trying to hide in
unwittingly,
this city with a blood hunt.
removed one of his chips that he had on the table.
Yeah, he's not real happy with you about that one. But at the same time, he's a good poker player, and he'll deal with that hand that he got, so he's going to work around it.
Hmm.
However, like I said, he's still doing things wrong. If he did this more subtly and gave it a little more time, I would have given him a little more leeway, but he's trying to push too much. I know why he's trying to push too much, but he doesn't realize the one in charge doesn't care about the subtleties of this planet.
I see. All right.
Hmm.
Well, I think for now, that answers a lot of the questions that I did need. I
Okay.
can let you know that I'm guessing your information that you have leaked out has gotten around because some of my clan elders have mentioned it to me.
It was intentional. I leaked it out to certain people. Little helpful hint. I know you haven't been around in a while. There is a gentleman. He goes by the title The Keeper. He is basically, how do I put this? And I'm going to give him a huge compliment and probably appreciate it. But he is like the plain-bound version of me.
So
He
he's
gets
not
it.
able to flit about as much as you do.
No, he can't at all. But he gets his information through normal means, and he has been able to for quite a long time. But he now is portraying himself as one of the hackers, in the world.
I see.
He's easy to get a hold of if you know where to look. On the card I gave you, there is a website you can go to. It is a secure website. You don't have to worry about it because it's controlled by hackers at all times. So you can easily find him that way. Plus, just, if you search for certain things that the World of Darkness tend to keep an eye on, usually you get him before you get anybody else.
All
Because
right.
he keeps track of all that information. He would be the one that, if you typed in, hey, Kindred, just for instance, Kindred Tremere, he would be the one to basically get a little ding on his computer, and he would begin responding and asking what you wanted, so on and so forth. All the while, he's finding out who you are, so that way, if he knew you were World of Darkness, he'd be like, okay, well, then he'd deal with it whatever way he felt. Yeah,
Interesting.
he's a sneaky little bastard.
Oh, that's
But
good to know.
oh yeah, he's definitely good for information. Sometimes he gives it willingly, other times he charges, and sometimes he'll make you do weird shit just to get a piece of information. But he has a reason for the weird shit, and most people don't see it till afterwards. And when the grand scheme is finally come about, that's when they see why he had them do it.
Okay. Now, going back to Agent Giles,
Okay.
how much interaction have you had with him?
Bits and pieces here and there.
He seems to lose his cool pretty quickly.
Well, you got to remember one thing, and since I'm pretty sure you already know what he is, since you hinted at it by the fact that he might have the power to change someone's face. Yes, he is Tamichi. He does have that power. So you can imagine, he originally started off as Sabat. Well, you know how Sabat handle things. They just fly out the handle, do whatever they need to do, and don't care.
Yep.
Him trying to infiltrate the Camarilla was a fun one for a while. And then he realized it just wasn't going to work. He realized no matter what he tried, he was going to be a problem that way. So this is his alternative, and I give him credit. He rose through the ranks pretty damn easily. But it's easy to do if you know how to do it.
Yes.
So he found especially being in charge of the SAD, which is the Special Affairs Division of the FBI. They handle nothing but World of Darkness, so he did it for two reasons. One, so he could keep an eye on the people he wanted to keep an eye on, and two, because he may have been Sabat, but even he understands the whole reason the Camarilla have the masquerade to begin with. Nobody wants to see another Inquisition, not even the Sabat. As fucked up and weird as they can be, they don't even want it, because they know they don't have the numbers to handle if the entire world came against them.
Yes, and with the world being as global as it is nowadays, it would be very easy for that to happen.
Oh, yes. Which is why, even the Sabat now are kind of taming things down a bit for now. They still have their cities where chaos reigns, but as you know, if you watch the news, hey, it's never a vampire that's involved. So yes. They give them credit. They're subtle about it. Yeah, so he has his own methods. He has his own plan. He doesn't like having Dante basically put him on a leash, per se. But Dante, or the person portraying Dante, has uncovered some information that's very detrimental to poor Giles' current involvement in the FBI. Dante, because he's the prince, found out that Giles is a vampire. Telling the director of the FBI that his lead agent in charge of the SAD division is also a member of the society he's been trying to keep an eye on would put a damper on that whole, wanting to do what he wanted thing. So very that's the back and forth game between those two. Eventually, Giles will just grow tired of it and handle it whatever way he needs to handle it. But he may just very well let you guys do it.
So, basically what you're saying is that at the moment, he's an unwilling ally of Dante, and most likely would be a weak point in the chain right now, as long as we can actually promise him something that would be greater than what Dante has over him.
Correct. Unfortunately, Giles is also not stupid. He knows that if you guys are coming to him, that means you already have enough information you could get him in trouble. You won't worry about that, because that's kind of why he put some of the warrants out that he did, because at least that way it gives them less credibility if they were to come to someone and say, hey, I know what's going on here. However, it still puts him in a bad light, because the director is starting to suspect more things, and I personally, I know what really is going on, but I would say that there's probably somebody whispering in the director's ear to keep an eye on things.
So that would be Director Johnson? Yes,
Correct.
Director Johnson.
I don't know what it is with their weird names, but it's like everybody in the FBI is like Johnson or Black or White.
Or Roberts. There's an Agent Roberts as well.
Yeah. Believe me, you'll hear that name more often than you think, and you'll be like, that's not the Agent Roberts I know.
Mm-hmm.
You just kind of nod and go with it. It's the FBI. They do things weird.
Okay. And then I saw something, or I heard something also about Phoenix Rising.
Phoenix Rising is a very, I mean, it's a well-established company. It grew
Run
up.
by Giovanna.
No, it's run by Giovanna's ghoul, who, before Giovanna found him, he was a normal human who just knew business, and he's very good at business and very good with computers and biotech and stuff like that. He blew up. That's when she ran across him. She didn't even know who he was originally, and when after she found out, she decided that ghoul would be the better way to go.
Okay.
Oh, and just to change some things, as of about 20 minutes ago, he is no longer a ghoul.
He's no longer a ghoul. So he's now kindred?
Given permission, yes.
Okay. Giovanna, I'm guessing?
Yes.
So
Although the
that,
Venture wanted him hardcore. Naturally, the Venture saw money.
yes, I'm just more concerned about what insanity is going to develop in him being a Malkavian.
Well, I'm being a Malkavian. He was warned. I watched her warn him repeatedly. This is not exactly the same thing.
Okay.
So,
The name Joseph came up in the texting that
there's 1,000 Josephs.
Agent Giles was dealing with. That's not anyone, though, specifically in the way of the power players here, is it?
No. Joseph is probably a code name for someone else. And knowing Giles, he's got code names for everybody. Actually, Dante doesn't even have an actual name in Giles' phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the funny part is everybody thinks, oh, let's get Giles' phone. Yeah, that's not going to help you. Trust me, he's got it all encoded. He's
Mm-hmm.
not stupid. He's a very old Tamichi, and he knows what he's doing.
That's good.
He escaped our cleansing, so to speak, for lack of a better term. Really more just removal.
Mm-hmm.
By just merely being a protagonist the way he is. That's the main reason Flora wanted to keep him, because she wanted to keep some of the kindred who were going to remain behind on their toes.
Good idea.
Hey, she is a female. She can be just as evil. She may be the creator of the planet, but oh boy, I wouldn't want to piss her off. I've seen her mad.
Now, going back to Dante, I have one other question.
I may be able to answer it.
He is not Gangrel.
Mm-mm.
He is not who he says he is.
Correct.
Is he still kindred?
I don't answer that question. Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay. There's probably something I should at least give you a little bit of information on. You're old enough, you're allowed to know, and Flora's not arguing with her right now because she knows what I'm thinking. This world, as you may have figured since I have mentioned gods and several goddesses, this world isn't the only one in the entire universe inhabited. Hence why we weren't worried about space travel, because at least then lends a little more credence to some of the people who sounded crazy when they said, oh, there's other people,
Yes.
Well, yeah, there's been other people for longer than this planet's been in existence. Contrary to what everybody thinks, as much as the humans on this planet wish, human life was not founded here.
Okay.
It's been founded on several planets. Technically, each planet thinks the same thing, so don't feel bad.
Mm-hmm.
There are other worlds. Occasionally, those other worlds have taken trips here.
Okay.
Some of the more powerful kindred, and another reason why we kind of wanted some of them away for a while, because we thought too much information was getting cleaned out. But some of the inhabitants from other planets never left.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They go about their normal lives, doing whatever it is.
Blending in.
Blending in very well, yes. Flora, to be on the safe side, decreed that it was better that unless they showed, how did she put it? Unless they showed true capability to be able to withstand the knowledge, they would never see the races for how they are.
I
And
see.
believe me, this planet's inhabited by a few more than you would think, less than most people would assume if they heard aliens were here.
Okay.
I will say it's not a Men in Black thing. There's not like all kinds of aliens with weird shapes. Most of them look human. Humanoid shapes seems to be the common norm throughout the universe. I don't know why. I guess it's just a weird quirk.
Okay. So basically, if you're bringing that information up now, when you said yes and no to the whole comment about Dante, I'm guessing that means that he's not from this planet originally, and the transformation into the vampire, or whichever it happened, may have happened after he's landed, but he is not completely human/vampire.
Okay. I will say he is a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Not a vampire you guys would consider. I will say he wields a lot more power than most people think.
Not like we consider. Well, I have heard of Eastern vampires.
Oh, no, he's not quite Jin. I would say quite Jin. I still classify them as vampires, even though they don't like that term.
Okay.
Believe me, don't call one that. Woo! I get away with it because, well, what are they going to do to me?
Oh, I've been to Japan once, and I pull out the sword. Where do you think I got the master-crafted katana?
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, so you probably have run across the Quiet Jin. Yeah.
Hmm.
They're...
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So that clears up a lot of things about Dante. Now the big trick is going to be how to bring up evidence that he is not who he says he is.
There are only very few ways a Tremere could bring up evidence.
But I'm not the normal Tremere.
Very true. And still, you're also still a new person. So a lot of people, I mean, even though you have roots here and you've been here before, a lot of the people who knew you, aside from your fellow clansmates, most of them aren't around right now, unfortunately, due to the cleansing. I think that was another subtle thing she wanted.
Yep.
So there's no one to really back up your claim that what you say is actually true.
Right.
You do have a few contacts that would confirm it, but not enough to turn heads like you need.
So I think the big thing right now is I need to stick near Dante so I can watch what's going on.
Which is not going to be as easy as it thinks, because if you're hanging around him more than you are the group he sent you with,
he's going to be suspicious.
Oh, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Now, if there was a way to change my face.
He smiles. Oh, there's plenty of ways to do that.
Exactly.
Without
One of
using
them.
blood.
Pardon?
Without using blood or learning a new discipline.
That would be handy. Or making a deal with certain people.
Could do that too. It's up to you. I will say that some of your new compatriots
Mm-hmm.
don't use the powers you think to change.
I had a suspicion. Magical items and things kind of
See, a lot of
radiate.
people, and well, yeah, a lot of people don't really think about that, but yes, magical items do exist in the world. A lot more than most people think, but nobody ever looks for them because most of them are all rumors, legends.
Again, he pats the sword. He's been around with me for a while.
Exactly. It's like a lot of people don't realize Excalibur is real.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. I actually got to touch it. It was kind of cool. Touched it while I was immortal here, by the way. I am fully... Well, I was born here, but my parents weren't. I'll leave it at that.
I understand.
Hey, smile as you see elven ears appear.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, there are many more of my kind around and the others.
Now, the other kinds, like you're mentioning, I'm curious whether or not my special abilities would be able to pierce their disguises. I know it can't pierce yours, but that could also be because of Flora.
That is all because of Flora. She may give you leeway now that you know.
Okay.
The only catch is she makes very specific rules. Those who know keep it to them damn selves.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we figured. I figured she would probably have an issue with you since you've already found out more information and haven't told anyone. She's actually surprised by that.
Well,
She doesn't keep her. I'm her eyes and ears, so I only tell her what she needs to know.
information is a good commodity.
Especially within the kindred life. Yes, I learned that at a very early age.
And knowing that things like Dante doing what he's doing can be very beneficial for me to know and for others to not know at this time.
But
one of the things is the fact that right
you.
now, it could be bad for me, yes. But at this time right now, with Dante knowing that I'm not telling anybody, that makes it so that he may trust me on this.
That is true.
And the fact that if he has my trust with this, he may let things slip.
It's possible. I don't want to say one way or the other because sometimes he's hard to read. I mean, he knows what he's doing to a point. He's being pressured into all this whole rebellion thing, and that's what's fucking him. Ironically, he was doing fine until a certain very heavily cloaked individual that I will save you time and energy before you even bother to try and locate him. You never will.
Okay.
He has much more power to do much more nastier things. He is limited due to Flora's control.
Is this another god?
No.
Pardon?
All he does is nod. He doesn't say a word.
Okay.
Not friendly. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Good to know.
Very detrimental to the planet and everyone on it. Which is why Flora has invested so much in suddenly all this going on. Usually she could care less.
Now,
everybody does their own thing.
How much aid would Flora be willing to grant to deal with the situation?
Honestly, he's well above anybody's standards at this point to deal with. It's limiting what he can do here. Again, he's limited in some ways more than the demons are. The demons are allowed, just so you have a general idea, I don't know how much you know about demonology, but I'll give you a quick lesson. Lucifer, God had an argument. Lucifer was trying to fight for the humans. God was not. God wanted them all eradicated. Lucifer decided to fight against it. Those who stood with Lucifer all got cast down. God, as punishment, put Lucifer on the planet to eternally walk it with all his power.
Lucifer is walking around with all his power. I think you just gave me a little bit more information than what you intended to.
Not really.
Or at least a way around of saying it without saying it.
His demons, however, all those that were cast into hell, have to crawl their way out of hell because an opening happened many years ago that had nothing to do with the kindred. And they learned that if they could crawl out and fight through the many layers to get to the surface, they could survive. The catch is they had to survive in a fresh corpse. Once they did that, then all they had to do was get people to follow them. And believe me, a demon can be very persuasive when he shows his true form to weaker minds.
Mm-hmm.
The more followers they have, the more power they gain. Now, there is a catch because there are some earthbound demons nobody wants to fuck with. Bad news all around. Now, Lucifer is the one exception because he's still fighting for humankind. In his own subtle way, he tries not to let his appearance be known or his knowledge, so on and so forth. But he does exist. He is walking around. Unfortunately for him, he got the raw end of the deal, and Flora allowed to go for so long, and shit happens.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's a basic breakdown of what really happened. And how demons hold their power. Hence why you killed some of the Infernalists. he took some of Sasha's, I believe is the human name he's going by.
And he's in a corpse right now?
Yes, he is actually. I mean, they keep the body fresh. Once they inhabit it, in a sense, no longer becomes a corpse.
Okay, so
an extreme case of possession at best is the best way to put it.
The simplest thing that I have for this then right now is Sasha, the demon that you're speaking of.
Mm.
He's in a body.
Mm-hmm.
If that body is destroyed, does he get banished back?
Correct.
Or does he... Okay.
It all depends on how much power he managed to attain beforehand. They are very rarely, and I can tell you right now, he doesn't have this kind of power yet. Will soon, because he's getting more followers. But they very rarely have the power to transfer to another fresh corpse. Once the body they're in is destroyed, basically it's like that, and it's like doing a banishment spell on them. They immediately get thrown back down into hell, and believe me, it may take some time for him to come back, but when he comes back, he's going to be very pissed and looking for the people who did it to him.
And these runes that you put on the sword, will they last long enough to deal with this demon?
They will return if necessary to deal with said demon. They will still do the same thing. All they will do is banish him. It will just reinforce the cage for him for a little bit. Admittingly, they will eventually wear down.
Okay. Now, will it still do the same effect on the infernalists that are worshipping?
Yes, it will still do the same thing. It will until all the infernalists are gone. And if you were to go fight somebody who's not part of the group, your sword would be just like it normally is.
Okay.
The runes don't come into play, and specifically, they detect the, for lack of a better term, demon taint, and that's when they would get involved. That's when the power would come out of it. So
can you do me something then?
possibly.
You have it on my sword, and you just said that it will detect the demon taint.
Mm-hmm.
My vision, my ability to see.
Okay.
Can you somehow do it so that I can detect it through that?
He looks up. You could limit it. I'm aware of that. I'm your eyes and ears, and I don't know this. Okay. After a brief conversation, which you figured I was having with Flora, she says that she will grant it to a point.
Okay.
I will give you the power to be able to detect it. It will only involve this particular demon. Unless it becomes clear that others are involved, that will be, unless you physically see a demon for yourself, since he's the only threat at this point in time. And believe me, I have a feeling with the one we know who's behind everything, the way he goes, he will try and find some of the more powerful beings to trick.
Okay.
But yes, for now you will be able to detect Sasha. Well, detect Sasha and his little bastard children.
Followers.
Followers, sort of. I mean, there are some very devout followers, and by the way, just so you know, demons, the more devout the follower, the more power they gain.
Mm-hmm.
So they could have 3 followers, but if those guys are completely devout and would do anything for the demon, they're more powerful than 10,000 just, oh yeah, we'll believe in you.
Does that work with Flora as well?
No. She is... Okay. She's an oddity, even within the pantheon. Most of the other gods do work the same way. God, Satan, well, I can't even call him Satan. I think it's John now. I think is his actual name.
John. Okay.
Don't ask. Technically, the seat was open, so someone who had the knowledge and the power, again from another planet, decided, what the hell? I'll take it.
So it's not the original Satan. anymore.
No, but he just uses the term Satan because it's much easier.
Hmm.
How do you explain John, the evil guy? I mean, it just doesn't sound right, you know. God
I
fought John.
I understand what you mean. It's kind of interesting to hear because if he's taken the seat that was open, that means that Satan at some point has fallen. As
Never
in,
actually did. See, the problem is everybody assumes so because all the stories say that God cast down, you know, Lucifer into hell, and Lucifer was since then forced to rule it. Weird thing is, all the old gods like Hades, so on and so forth, they exist.
hmm.
Well, did at one point in time until some other gods came in and kicked their ass. But God's wars, no fun.
Interesting.
Believe me.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, getting involved in that crap just gives you a headache.
But it does give room to grow.
That it does. And as you probably have already figured out, since I told you I come from here, and someone else who was mortal took the seat of Lucifer's, well, Satan's,
Mhm.
I can't even call it Lucifer because he's walking the planet, took his seat. It is possible for others to achieve godhood.
So,
There's just a lot to it. You have to, if you have a title specifically you want to take, like say you wanted to take John's title, you would have to fight him both on the material plane here and in his own realm. If you defeat him in his own realm, you get the title. Not as easy as it sounds.
no, I wouldn't figure it would be.
Ooh, no.
But my question comes back to what happened to the original Satan?
Technically, there was how to put it, a temporary stand-in, who basically ran it like everybody imagined. You know, big evil nasty blah blah. You know, converting people, so on and so forth.
Hmm.
Um, John came from another world, heard about the whole goofy god thing, and thought it was a joke. And rather than deal with some of the stupid people he has, decided to alter some things. Um, Ironically, the demons were crawling out before John took over. I believe John has actually limited it, but he does have the power to make them stronger.
Okay.
Whether or not it does, is a different story. Uh, any of the god's followers can be stronger through their god or goddess. I know, God keeps saying that. Oh my God, Jesus. Oh, Flora, Jesus. See, I can't even. I'm gonna get in trouble already. All right. Yeah. So, like, if you began following somebody, whether you're kindred or not, and believe me, that has no say in anything. You could follow God and be a kindred, as I'm sure you've run across a few faithful followers.
Hmm.
Which is really weird to see because I just laugh at it. And God, by the way, is no longer God. It's Rick, but we won't go there with that one.
So God is also gone, and a new person has taken the place. Okay.
Yes, and actually, Rick has done a much better job. Not so pushy. Unfortunately, the followers, well, he can't really change them.
Yes.
I think it's more because Flora doesn't want too much changing on the mortal plane because honestly, most humans could not withstand a lot of the information that really is out there. Like, I mean, I'm sure you could figure out as soon as they found out vampires existed, they wouldn't know what to do. They'd probably lose their goddamn minds.
Hmm. Well, you think about that. We're always those creatures that go bump in the night. I think one of the other oddities about me is the fact that I don't need to hunt. I don't feed on the blood like others because I create it in my bathtub.
Yeah, but they would never get that, and they would still think that's weird. So, you know, they would hunt
Yes.
you down. So I mean, and that's the problem is they don't realize how much the Kindred Society, more specifically at this point, has helped them than ever before. The Kindred Society was one of the strongest supporters of the advance of technology, for many reasons, obviously due to their own personal reasons, but Kindred fully supported that, which is why they have spacecraft now, and these high-tech companies are top of line and all kinds of deals. It's just how it happened.
Okay. Well, that's good to know that stuff. Any other parting information for me before I go?
If you ever want to know more, not only about this world, but about some of the others. There's a bookstore I recommend you go to.
Okay.
There's a few scattered here and there, and we kind of keep tabs on them. Um, Mainly because most people don't believe half of what they read, anyways.
Okay.
You will probably run across a bookstore called the Arcane Bookstore. Um, the person who runs it knows a lot. No, it's not the keeper or the guy who plays the keeper. It is someone from another world who really didn't want to come and change anything about the planet. He stayed here a long while, enjoyed the way it was, even with all its oddities, twists, and turns, and felt that he put the information out there. He's not violating any rules because he doesn't direct people to the books that are true.
I see.
It has some, I mean, you'll see the Vampire the Masquerade role-playing game right up front with all the other, various books. Yet in the back, there's all kinds of books about the various kindred.
Good to know.
Nobody knows. Nobody ever goes there. He feels so lonely, apparently.
Interesting. Now, here's something, maybe sometime she may be interested in it, is I would love sometime to actually meet Flora. Sometime. It doesn't have to be now.
She says, we'll have to see how you do. Now that you've kind of gotten on her radar, she will be, well, she'll have me. What am I going to say? She'll have me keep a more closer tab on. Kind of
That's
see how
understandable.
you determine. Because there are some people who, when first meeting her, who really don't know how to react and freak the hell out because she does have a lot of power. It's her world, so on and so forth. So they try and be someone they're not almost automatically. And
I see.
she can't stand that. Neither can I. Honestly, I'd prefer to be blunt, straight up.
That's what I like to.
Whether I can answer blunt or straight up, sorry, I'm limited by my abilities.
I understand. Well, I thank you for coming and talking to me. Now that I have your business card, I'll be able to actually call you ahead of time.
You could text too. I do respond to texts. Sometimes they're easier. Like if you don't need me to come all the way here, you're just going to ask me a question. You don't feel like talking to me because you're afraid I might miss something. Text me.
The only concern that I ever have about that is whether or not someone else decides to track those texts. There's a few
Never
people
happened.
with technology. No? Okay.
Never happened.
Good.
It's a weird, mixed up way, but Flora was not stupid. She just put things in place where, in cases like people have to get a hold of me, no one else knows about it. Unless you physically say, "Hey, I talked to Daniel today," no one's going to know. I don't run around telling people I talk to anybody. I will say I put some information out subtly. That could mean I talked to a few people that I knew would get the information out that I needed, or it could very well mean I just threw a book somewhere that somebody just happened to find that they needed.
Good to know.
Yeah, it's the subtle ways I do things. It makes it all kinds of fun.
All right. Well, again, thank you for your time.
Yep.
Feel free to visit anytime if you have any urge to converse with somebody who knows these things now.
Yeah, it is a lot easier when there's somebody who I can talk. I mean, there are a few others, but sometimes just
You never know.
hours. Ugh.
If I actually prove myself well enough, perhaps we can have a God's Night of Poker or something.
She said that could probably be closer arranged than you think.
Well, possibly. It's interesting also that you mentioned about Satan walking the earth still, because if he's still working towards protecting the humans, he'd definitely be an interesting person to speak to at some point.
Correct. Will I give you his location? No, because he. Ironically, even though he has all this power and he can just poof wherever he wants, he doesn't. He uses normal means. If he needs to get across the seas, needs to get across the ocean to Japan or something, he takes a flight. He's like any other normal person.
Yep. I figure he's well grounded.
Oh yeah, he knows good stuff.
All right. Well, if you pass him in his travels and things, let him know that there is a Tremere that's actually interested in talking with him sometime.
I will let him know whether or not he responds. He's iffy about you guys. He definitely thinks, well, I mean, he kind of likes you because, well, you guys all started with, pissing off God, so, he's automatically on your side there. Yeah, that bit. He's really good. And, I mean, he knows the difference now. He knows it's two separate people, but he's still, I don't know, I guess it's just many, many thousands of years being someone's loyal subject and then getting screwed. Kind of pisses you off, apparently. Anyways, yeah, if I see him, I'll let him know.
All right.
He may stop by. You may get a weird phone call from a strange payphone that's out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. It's probably him.
Sounds good.
All right. Now back to work, unfortunately.
Safe travels.
Oh, well, yeah, not that I'm worried, but hey, have fun. Try not to cause too much trouble, and watch what you do.
I will.
I'm always watching. Well, she can watch if she wants, but she never does.
All right. Well, thank you to you both.
Yep. He disappears.
Okay. So, probably get ready for the night. Sleep over, or for the day, I should say.
Yeah.
In the morning, or in the evening when I wake up, I'd prep myself a nice big tub full of blood. Use my sanguinis vial to store a bit of it, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then drink myself full, bring a few with me. That way I'm prepped and ready for the evening.
There you go.
I'm going to go and visit the Arcane bookstore.
Okay. It's a small little bookstore. I mean, it looks like every other little mom and pop bookstore that, well, before Borders and all the other big companies took over and kicked to the curb. Little place. Definitely seems kind of like it fits in because it's in the middle of downtown, but it's just this small little bookstore. Little sign. It's not like giant fingers waving, hey, come here.
Any kindred around in the 5 Mile area?
Yeah, many. I mean, the location, obviously, whoever put this store here knew exactly what they were doing.
Any infernal ones?
None, actually.
Good to know.
As you walk in, there's young 18-year-old girls behind the counter. Welcome to Arcane Bookstore. How can I help you?
Oh, I'm just coming around to take a look at a few things. I heard there's nice fellas to talk to here. Nice people to talk to about different things.
If you mean Jonathan, I think he's... Well, usually he's in the back, working on one book or redoing another one. I don't know. Do
these girls have any distinguishing traits that are non-human?
No. She is fully human. She probably has no idea who she's working.
Right.
It's money.
Thank you very much for your help. Mm-hmm. Give her a nod and smile.
Yeah, if you walk through the bookstore, you see a whole bunch of, all the occult books and, all the, stuff that is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
If you go further into the back, that's when you start to see more and more books that you definitely know are now a little more getting towards realistic.
Okay. And I'll look around for Jonathan.
You see him. He's sitting at a big desk, a bunch of books all piled around him. You see him. It looks like he's, probably just updating the covers. He's checking them out, checking the spine, sets it off to the side, grabs another one. Yeah, it looks like he's just making sure the books are in good condition.
Jonathan, I presume?
Yes, how can I help you?
Good to meet you. I had a friend who directed me here for conversation, knowledge, friendship, everything like that.
He looks at you.
Hold on one sec here.
Yeah, go ahead. It's probably going to be slow to get tangled.
Oh, sorry about that. My wife was just asking about picking up my daughter's boyfriend there from work. Find out if it was time or not. Okay.
Didn't feel like it.
I'm not sure if it's time or not because I haven't gotten any messages from him. All right.
You see him look around. One second. Hey, Lisa, why don't you go ahead and take your lunch break? Thanks, Jonathan. I'll be back in a little bit. And you hear ching, ching as the door opens and closes.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do for Kindred? And he looks right at you.
What can you do for kindred? What does he look like to me?
Looks human.
And my sight, does it show anything different?
He's got vampiric traits, but it's weird. You've never seen this kind of, lack of a better term, signature.
Hmm.
He smiles.
You're
You done?
you're interesting looking. You're not
I would
normal.
be. If thanks. Do I drink blood? I can if I want to. We have learned ways around it. I'm assuming you were sent here by someone who knows, because very rarely do people actually stumble into this bookstore. More specifically, rarely do kindred stumble into this bookstore and not know where they're going.
Well, I've stumbled into this bookstore because someone was talking to me about some very enlightening things.
Okay, gives me a general idea of who you're talking about.
Mhm.
We'll refuse to say it because he tends to hear it and want to come and say hi. Like the guy, but boy, can he get chatty.
Well, he told me that you'd be an interesting fellow to talk to, learn about some of these.
Well, you could say I've been around the block a few times.
Around the block or galaxy, maybe.
Try universe. Galaxy's too small.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, as apparently loudmouth he is, has told you, yes, I am not from here. I came here, I liked what I saw. Some of the kindred did interest me. They gained my respect, and from time to time I assist them when needed.
I see.
Most to the knowledge that you know who was referring to, the D-Man, as I'm going to call him, are those books over there.
I turn and I look at those books.
You see several bookshelves full of nothing but, you know, most of them look like they're leather bound, but some you're probably going to guess that's not leather.
Interesting. So you've been here for a while in the city?
Yeah.
Good to know. And
Well,
you
I
said,
own several bookstores, so I have to travel every so often to keep an eye on them. But the people I hired are pretty good.
yes, and pretty at that too. But
Yeah,
anyway,
but got to have some visual appeal. They want to go into a musty old bookstore when they see some old guy sitting behind the counter creeping them out.
I understand. Now, you had mentioned helping out some of the kindred around the city sometimes.
When the nature calls for it, I tend to stay out of matters because, and I don't mean this to be offensive in any way, shape, or form, so please don't take it that way, but your powers pale in comparison to what a child of my kind can do.
A child of your kind. Interesting
Black.
to hear.
We are officially classified as vampires. Yes. But here's the fun part. More specifically, at least with me and several others of my kind. Um, we were born human.
Born human. I think back to
Well,
different things about that. So does that
well,
mean
let me clarify because I know you guys are born human and you get embraced. We've never been embraced. When we die, this is what we become.
when you die you become this? Are you
Whether it's early, late, or sometimes we officially, I think, my old companions from my home used to classify us as Dampier. Would be
yes?
the official classification I think that I would go by here, technically.
Okay.
Since I have since lost the mortal side of me, for lack of a better term, I am now full vampire.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Now, the kindred that are within the city right now. You've dealt with a few of them, you've said.
Well,
Have you done
some are
anything for the
drama, some are crappy.
Have you done anything for the current prince?
No, and
No.
I won't.
No. Okay. Some bad
Against
blood
him, yes.
then.
Bad blood with him. Not the previous prince who was in power.
Cash.
Bingo. He was the one I respected and gave, you know, he and I saw eye to eye on a lot of things. And he's actually who helped pick this current location for a bookstore, seeing as how, in a sense, I'm sure you've paid attention and noticed that I'm pretty much, aside from the Elysium, in the heart of Kindred Society.
Yes, I noticed that.
As
Now,
much as it is weird, you're actually the first Kindred in 36 years that's come in.
okay. Now, you said that you don't respect Dante for...
I don't respect the man claiming to be Dante.
Ah, so you know that part.
I'm not stupid.
Can you enlighten me a little bit about him?
He was trouble from the first time I heard of him. I respected Cash. When I heard this was Cash's child, I took a quick look. That is not Cash's child sitting on that throne.
Mm-hmm.
If it was Cash's child, believe me, he would have a whole different outlook. What I saw was not what I respected, and especially the touch I saw that he has, I lost all respect for.
The touch he has.
Due to his well, since you know enough, due to his dark contacts,
Mm-hmm.
that particular god and I do not see eye to eye.
I see. So, a lot of what he's doing is because of a god.
Well, naturally, because that god's a fucking annoying prick.
Mm-hmm. What is Dante then? Is he truly a vampire?
How do I? Well, I'm actually ashamed to say it, but he's one of my kind.
I had a feeling that.
Mm.
Has he already passed, or is he still Dompier, so to speak?
No, he specifically this particular god wouldn't touch him until he passed. Um, he waited until he was passed, and then what you see sitting on the throne is what that god created.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so thinking back through different gods and different things like that, I'd think about the different gods that would deal with death like that. There's what, Hades?
Hades, a bunch on Earth, but
Mm-hmm.
since since Jonathan has been kind of hinting to you that obviously Dante isn't from around here either, since he said
Yep.
he's one of his kind.
Yep.
Probably not a god from here.
Yep. So the god that he worships, I'm guessing, is one of your kind's god?
Yes, a lot of our people follow, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think he's too. Ugh. He's bad, uber evil. I can live a perfectly healthy life and not have to be killing everyone in sight. It really defeats the purpose of being around at that point.
Okay. So with Dante and what he's doing with Kindred Society and masking as one of our kind.
See, originally when some of us came here, and believe me, I'm not the first to come here, and there are probably still others around. We try not to stay in touch with each other in case someone's watching. But when we originally came here and we learned of the Kindred Society, honestly, our first impressions were you guys are a joke. Some cruel trick a god was playing on us because you guys were claiming you were vampires and again, trying not to be offensive, but there's no way around it. I held in my little pinky when I was age-wise. How do I put this? Because we age a shit ton slower than you guys do. I guess you would classify me as a neonate in your terms. When I was a freshling, we held more power than you, and we held more power than some of your elders. I heard of Kane, or heard of his power. Honestly, he would probably be the closest to the level I'm at.
Okay.
I've been around a long time, unfortunately, and there's only a few ways you can tell when we've been around. The way we travel from place to place is not like normal means.
Oh,
I'd show you, but I don't feel like repairing the damage that would happen.
okay.
I will leave it at this. When we decide to disappear, and it all depends on how old we are, we leave small circles
Hold
of.
on one second here. It looks like I am going to have to be going because of the wife. Can we
Okay.
continue this in a little bit when I get back?
Well, I don't know how to. Well, I mean, I can end this one and we'll start part two. Yeah, we can do that.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.
See you in a bit.
All right.